Good morning, everyone. Let me know if I'm audible.
Morning, sir.
Let's start. Yesterday, I asked you to watch these two videos. How many have watched the first video by Edward Tufte, which was only about 8 minutes? I didn't want to play in the class. I thought you should be watching it. So please raise your hand and let me see how many of you watched it. Not a single one. So you don't want to really care about what I'm going to convey. You don't care about, you want to learn. There's a lot of important messages that you should see. Any specific reason why you couldn't watch it? Amok,
Yes, sir.
why didn't you watch it? 8 minute video. It was 8 minute video by Edward Tufte. And I recommended that you should watch it before I start class tomorrow. The classes are only in the morning. Divya,
A little busy with my projects, so
you always be busy, but supposed to be studying as well.
yes. Sorry, sir.
It was an 8 minute video. It was not I'm asking you to do 10 hour doing something and just making a note. Don't tell me you couldn't find even 8 minutes. Indrasena,
Yes, sir. Today I will definitely.
so the purpose is lost. I mean, all you guys are doing is doing a formality of coming to class as though obliging the college. When we're coming to the college, we're doing a great favor to the college. And you don't care what is taught. You just want to write, get the marks, say thank you. And then you crib, we don't get a job. Then you crib, we're not taught, we crib, we don't get marks. Then you start doing copying, plagiarism, all kind of things happen. So my again humble request is watch the video and it has a lot of powerful messages. What is visualization is all about? When did visualization started? What is the most visualization data which is being used today? What is it you are trying to look at? Is it to confirm something or is it to learn something? In this 8 minute video, and I said Edward Tufte is the pioneer of data visualization and it gives you good amount of information. What is visualization all about? So request you to watch today again, and tomorrow I'd like to discuss what you learned from it. Others who want to go deeper can watch the 51-minute video, but up to you. But at least watch the 8 minute video to do that. I didn't teach much, I played so that you understand what is data visualization about. So when you want to show something, what is that we need to follow? What are we looking at? If you have a very small data set, maybe tables are good enough. But when your data grows, tables may not be able to communicate the information or the content we are trying to convey, and we probably end up going to the graph. Now, when doing graphical visualization, you have to keep in mind that it should basically tell you actual story behind the data. One can display all the COVID data, number of vaccinations per month or per day, the different age group, something, I can give you big, large table. But what is that we're trying to communicate? Is the story being said that the infections are decreasing, increasing? When was the peak? Or do you always have a low number of infections on Monday because Sunday we got a less testing? So we need to just look at what data is trying to reveal. And when you present, is individual who is saying able to think what should be happening? So in fact, COVID is one of the great examples to look at how do you like to do data visualization. And that's what you should be trying to look at rather than manipulating things. Focus should be on what you're trying to communicate rather than looking at the graph lines. So if I'm trying to look at daily infections versus total infections, so graph should indicate that and what we're trying to get there, the growth, not the lines per se and not the individual values. So impression that our daily infections coming down, peak was maybe somewhere in the end of May, we should be able to get that out. Do not abuse or put the information in a wrong way. And we've seen that how did at times statistics is used in a wrong way. The elections results, the cap may be too small a bit, like what we saw. So India has the poorest rate of vaccination. If you look at percentage of population, possibly yes. But at the same time, if you look at in number of vaccinations we have done, it was the largest in the world. So what are you trying to? So do not try to misuse or misrepresent to undermine something or give wrong information. And all the data trying to put, make sure consistent, one data information should not conflict with other part of it. Essentially, users should look at and maybe different pieces of graph and can you determine something. So one piece could indicate daily infections, other piece could indicate daily death or daily recovery, depending on what you're trying to basically indicate with respect to COVID data. The level of details, one is we can, let's say, even if we look at COVID data, at what details we are looking at. We could be looking at the frontline workers, or I can divide into different age groups, or I can look at other factors, rural versus cities, depends how to trying to do. And when you present, so people should get curious and should be able to dig in more. What is that they really want to do and figure out? And when you're presenting, you should be clear why you're trying, why you're presenting something. What is that you are trying to do? One is to making them, if I'm presenting my COVID infection rate, purpose is to make sure my general public becomes aware, look at spreading and be careful. If you don't present that, people become careless. At times, plain graph is not good enough. One is to embellish the graph, or decorate or annotate with some text part of it. So don't put text separately and graph separately. Sometimes these has to be interspersed together. So look at those parts. And why graphs are important, I'll try to show you this. And why tables or data is something not sometimes make out. Look at the following table, X and Y coordinate. There are 4 different data sets. Do they look different or do they look same? And if they're same, how much? So if one were to do your statistic part, and this is called N-COMBS quartet, pretty old data. And what it says is it would just depend upon statistics. If you do statistics, methods typically are you take a mean, you take a standard variance, you define a regression equation, you define the correlation coefficient. If you do that, you'll find that for all this data, if I were to look at, let's say if I can show you the same in the Excel. So this is the data. If I were to do an average, if you look at average of all X are same. Similarly, average of all Y's are same. So statistics wise, this data does not show difference. If I were to do my standard variation, I can say standard variation of all the numbers you'll find variation of all the X are same, variation of all the Y is roughly about the same. So if I were to look simply, so how do I see my data, something of this kind? What do I, so the difference that the data is different. If I go by plain statistics, my mean is the same, my average is the same, my variance is the same for all four data set, correlation between X and Y is for all the four data sets is the same. You get the same linear regression equation. So a statistic does not give much information. So how do I so represent, look, this how my data is. And that is where the graphic visualization plays a very important role. And if you look at the four graphs, for the first set, my data looks like a scatter like this. For second set, it goes like a curve. Third set is a straight line with one outlier. The same is true for other set, all the same X values and one something extra. So the four data set look completely different. And if I were to show them using the visualization, I simply convey the meaning, the differences among the four data set. But whereas when I look at these data sets from statistics perspective, they look to be same. So I can give another example. Look at what you want to do. I would say, let's say your subject is taught by two teachers, and all the information given to you is, if you look at the average of both the teachers, average marks, or let's say you have the choices of choosing is not by the section, or let's say two electives, and you know that one average marks in either both the electives happen to be 60. So if you look at the average marks gotten, both gives you 60 average. So statistically, chances of you getting 60 marks are equal in both the subjects. But then how do you need to dig up data, and that is where the graphic visualization comes in. It may so happen that for the elective one, even though the average is 60, but most of the students get the number between, let's say, 50 and 70. For second elective, a lot of students may be getting number between, let's say, 20 to 40, and what will be getting between 80 to 100. average comes to be the same. But if you look at the scatter plot, one would show you all number students between 50 and 70, others show two different groups. And then it's up to you to make a decision which one you like to follow. Those who think doesn't want to work very hard, they probably can choose the first elective. Those who think I can work hard and get higher marks, because you can get 90 in the first elective, you will not get more than 70. So the range is between 50 and 70. So graphic visualization can completely tell you different story, communicate the message, what is being conveyed, and that is what one is to look at. So the Anscombe qualitative, the full data set, highlight the importance of when you put the data in a graphical perspective, it basically gives you a completely different and new meaning. That's what we're trying to say there. I'll show you another graph. And this was the graph pertaining to London 1854. There were a lot of deaths due to cholera. In fact, some in the month of May, the number of cholera deaths occurred is about 300. And in the London city, there are about 11 water pumps, as you can see. Now, one can look at that the way so axes indicate the location of the 11 water pumps and dots indicates the depth. So graphically, if you can look at, you can easily make out that cholera is probably waterborne disease and lot number of deaths are close to this central water pump. That means something could be wrong. Any amount of statistics wouldn't have probably give you or may require a lot of number crunching, figure out which water pump could be causing it. And finally, what they did was when they changed the handle and the instruments of this water pump, basically death kind of evaporated. So it was an infected handle or infected component of the water pump that was causing cholera spread, and once that was removed and replaced, the cholera death stopped. So sometimes graphical representation gives you a lot more important information, understand. This again graph is from book by Edward Tufte, the visual display of quantitative information. It gives you a lot of good amount of meaning and one has to go through. It becomes very important. If we look at the most often used graphical visualization today in the world, can anyone suggest what is that is? Which data set or which data measure is being used by the maximal in the world as a graphical visualization? Any guesses?
Sir, currently or
Currently,
the COVID cases?
possibly yes, but not as graphically that much it was when the first batch started. But as a graphically, I don't know how many people are seeing that. I used to see that maybe when the first batch started looking at chart every day I was growing, but once that happened, that probably went down. But consistently, if you look at over the 1 year, 2 year, or last couple of years, Google Maps. Almost everybody uses Google Maps. That's the one way of using the graphical visualizations. But COVID could be another one. COVID growth or infections or numbers in different case. I'm looking at the graphicals, that could be the case. It's a debate, but one can look at that. When you put data in graphical form, what are the different ways data could be presented? There are different ways charts could be made. And you can look at all the charts. I given a URL so for the recent tutorial. We all know about the pie chart. If you want to indicate, let's say even for COVID, and divide into 3 groups between 18 to 45, 45 to 60, and 60 plus, the number of vaccinations that has happened, pie chart could indicate that. Of the total vaccinations, that what really happened. Or we can do even a polar chart, polar graph basically where point from the center indicate the distance and the angle, two different measures, and you try to present data in a certain way, and I give the example in a short while. We look at the bubble chart. Now, color of bubble could indicate something. So normally if a scatter plot is just two dimensions. But you want to provide information in more data, even in two-dimension graph, bubble chart does play a role. For example, the x-axis could be my, let's say, time progression every week or every month since January 2020. And then y-axis, I could probably say the infections, there's something, and this could indicate the basically what is called for different age groups. And colors could indicate different age groups, and size could indicate the number of people that has been infected. So we can use different dimensions to represent bubble graph. We are all aware of scatter plot. Just take two dimensions, display variable or multiple dimensions, put those, draw the dots, that become a scatter plot. Line graph, that is the first graph you have been using, since join all the lines of a scatter plot and you get a line graph. Bar graph. Again, I can look at the x-axis could be my time per month, y-axis could be the number of vaccinations, and I could indicate in terms of total vaccination, then a single bar for each month, or I want to again put into 60 plus and 45 plus and 18 plus, then could be 3 bar for the each month. So bar graph give different information. Same thing could be given by the area graph, indicating which month how many people got covered, and that will give the idea there. For any management planning, scheduling, we always follow the Gantt chart, indicating dependency of one event versus the other. So most of the management project activity follows the Gantt chart. Then we have high-low. So people who follow the stock market, they basically look at, so you see the line chart, basically bottom and the upper indicate high and low, and the bar indicates which was the closing price. Same way you use a different way, candlestick chart. You also seen a whisker plot, basically box indicating full range and giving the size of the box within the range, which constitute 25 to 75 percentile or whatever percentile you're trying to do. Or a time series graph looking at how things have progressed. So different, now depending on the content, depending on what you want to convey, you probably use different kind of charts to get that meaning. Here is the example I like to give you for a polar chart. So this basically about 7 items, indicating cost versus the profit. If you look at the distance from the center, I'm just trying to put that in the ranges, 7 polygons. So this indicate cost 0, on this line cost 40, on this line cost 30, 80, and so basically angle indicates my cost and the distance indicates my profit. And that way you can look at, so for this item, like which is red color, which is called average, cost is about 0.7 and profit happens to be about 12. For the blue, which is living yoga item, again I given the source from where I taken the data to indicate polar chart. Cost is about 0.85 or 87 and profit happens to be roughly about, you can say for this polygon, about 10 or something of that kind. So you can use different chart to indicate different meaning. Here, my angle basically indicates from this line the cost and distance indicates the profit, and that's the way you can look at. So we looked at the different charts. Line graph basically points connected by line segments. A scatter plot which just indicates points between two variables, display them as a point. Bubble chart is a extension of a scatter plot where we indicate extra information like size of a bubble indicates something, color of a bubble could indicate something else. Bar graph we have seen. Pie chart basically indicates the proportion of something which is being done. That would be pie chart. Box chart, that's a box whisker plot, indicates central value basically within the range where does my maximum percentile, the data remains. And that's what the box chart. So size of the box indicates my percentile range among the overall. We talk about bubble graph tiles. You all probably use vehicles, so you can see your vehicle probably has three ranges: your normal range, your the below range, normal range, and the high range. And depending on dial, you can say whether you're in danger zone or you're doing under speeding or over speeding. It gives you the idea. So look at, so depending on the context, you want to use the right amount of chart. Pictographs sometimes are the more useful way to communicate information. I'll probably show you, let's say, one pictograph. This is from the author's book. It indicates in the US the number of tweets per location, geography location wise that happens in the US. You can probably see on this eastern, western part of it, the eastern part of it, you have a lot more tweets compared to western part, except the probably California part or this central part. Mid part of it, less number of tweets, maybe because less population. Here your maximum population, so it indicates that. Other way is pictograph is you look at water footprint. Is again from the book. It basically indicates for each kind of crop what is for, let's say, for barley or for wheat, for each pound of wheat or for each kg of wheat to produce, how much water is needed. The picture tells you that millet requires maximum amount of water and growing tea leaves require minimal amount of water. So it kind of gives you the idea to do particular thing. And this is again a pictograph. And you can see here, along with my pictures, my text is also displayed. You see the number of bars. This indicates, so each tick here indicates value 50. So if you have 5 such full rows become 2,500, so you can make up. So make use of your right kind of information, how to want to represent and use respective graph. So we'll take some example and to show how the data could basically be done. And as we said, our data presentation, visualization is the last step in this cycle. So we have business generates data. After getting the data, we do data mining. After mining, we basically get intelligence pattern, we present it, and that is where my visualization comes in, and using that to decision making, feedback to business, improve upon it. I'll take the example from the book, which basically gives you sales data. Data is given for, let's say, different number of products. You have 13 products. It says revenue per products, total number of order for the products, and total number of salesperson for the product. This is the raw data that is available given to you. Now, what insights, given this data, one would like to get? So basically, CEO want to analyze the sales performance. What could be different ways CEO would like to do the sales performance? You may want to look at what is my revenue per salesperson per product, or what is my revenue per order, or which are the 3 top products which constitute maximum of the revenue, or which are the products for which I have maximum orders or whatever. Now, this kind of information, looking at the plain simple table, may not be that straightforward and easy. And that is where the pictographs or charts would come in. But to do that, sometimes you need to enhance the data. I'm not changing the data, but given the data, derive some extra information out of it. For example, I can basically generate revenue per order, revenue per salesperson, and orders per salesperson. That helped me decide, should I focus on the more orders, should I focus on the more salesperson, and try to figure out, and sorted them as per on the basis of revenue. So sorted on the basis of revenue, and that's what basically what you are seeing. Now, if you want to look at from this, how does my revenue distribution looks like? I'm just interested in, for each product, how does my revenue distribution looks like? What do you think would be the best chart? I'm just interested in my revenue distribution. So one can read the numbers, but to make a more powerful impact, what kind of chart you would like to use for indicating revenue distribution? And the best would be what is called as a pie chart. So if you look at the pie chart, we probably get good amount of information as far as revenue is concerned. But looking at data in table per se is not that user friendly and may require a lot more looking into analyzing, but graphical data would become a lot more better. And again, if I need to compare, if we look at my revenue per salesperson, it happens to be hundreds. The revenue per order or order per sales happens to be single digit. Revenue per order in 2 digits. Revenue per salesperson in 3 digits. So there are different scale range. So if I were to plot everything on a single graph, my scaling itself would kill me and I may not get a meaningful data. So sometimes I may need to look at data from a different perspective, different graph type, and drive from there. So first we look at revenue pie chart. And this is the revenue so you can generate. And this data is in Excel. You should be able to generate pie chart. So let's say how we can generate that. So you can see my screen. So let me sort it out by the revenue first. Now let me just take and draw a pie chart. I just want to look at my revenue distribution, how does it look like? I probably say insert, and then you get different number of starting options. And we're looking at pie chart. So this is my pie chart place. I select this. And so this basically gives me the pie chart distribution. It doesn't give me the numbers. But if you want to look at the numbers, you can probably go there and choose the different options. And here you can see it basically gives you different numbers along with the graph there itself. Somewhere here you can look at, and then what you can see. So different numbers are given, and you can make out from the graph easily that these top 3 products, which is color is given, A is blue. Can you guys see this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So A is 37%, HS is 20%, KK is 15%. So graphically, you can easily make out that the top 3 products almost make 75% revenue, little less than 75%, something of that kind. And that is what the graphical data basically tells you. Same way, you want to look at number of orders per product. I want to look at products and how the orders have been doing. So that means I should be able to do a bar chart, and the bar chart will look something like this. So I can look number of orders per product. So let me remove this. I'm looking at orders per product. So this is my product and this is my orders. Sorry, let me select this. And then I can do an insert. And then do a bar chart. This is my bar chart here. And you can see the bar chart that basically comes up. And basically says almost the 4 products make large number of orders, which you can probably make out from the graph. But number is distributed, this gives you probably much better picture. So again, rather than looking at the numbers, the visualization presenting in a graphical form gives you a lot more information. Now, if we look at my top revenues coming from 3 products, and those constitute about 75% of revenue, whereas my maximum orders are from the 4 products. So that basically gives me some idea that large number of orders does not necessarily mean large revenue. And that kind of insight one can basically get looking at this pie chart and the bar chart. We can go further, and assuming you want to analyze these orders, and I have some more information about the orders, that I can divide them into small orders, big orders. So they are the order details. And I know that my orders basically belong to 4 different categories: small number of orders, tiny number of orders, very small, medium size order, and the large size order, the product ones. And then I would like to look at the distribution of how this look like. So if I have this information, I would probably like to use what is called a stacked bar graph. If we do a stacked bar graph by order size, looking at the entire distribution by percentage of their sizes, you probably get a graph like this. Or if I were to put any data in the Excel, so I'll go to second sheet and say I've given you the breakup of teeny, small, medium, and large. I uploaded this slide, but I haven't uploaded the Excel file. I'll upload it into the Teams and suggest you to use Excel to play with different chart and see how does the chart work. Practice it and make sure you understand the charting basically they work. So I've taken this graph, and this basically indicates, if you look at, it is the small which constitute a large percentage of the orders. Further, the last 3 orders, teeny constitute large percentage of their respective orders. And if you look at the large amount of order, which is yellow, except one, there are very few. So it gives you different kind of informations, and you like to look at those parts. So using chart and graph, one can drive and get a lot more information. So again, I'll probably after the lecture, I'll upload these Excel files and recommend you to play with Excel charts, work with it and see can you learn drawing the charts, and that become very, very useful to analyze the data. Let's say we got this, but CEO would like to know further how good my salespersons are. If deploying more salesperson will maybe give me good revenue, how many orders they get, or what is, should I look at more orders from a salesperson, or should I look at revenue from a salesperson? So if you look at from when you are in startup mode in a company which is in startup mode doesn't look at the revenue initially. At the end, they need to, but initially they don't want to look at revenue and profit. Their focus is more on number of orders. So early stage, they want to see, can you get more customers? Revenue could be later. So if you look at all this, e-tailers, something, whether it was Amazon and Flipkart, any of those companies, initially they all made losses for few years because their focus is to get more and more customers. They never made profit. They'll give you discount, they'll all kind of promotions. They want to get more customers. The focus is, can you get more orders? Having established and having till the competition, then they can focus on getting more profit. So we still like to look to make a decision. Should I look at more order per salesperson? Should I look at revenue per salesperson? And then you can basically do data visualization different way. It can do a separate graph measure for it can look at the graph which indicates order per salesperson and can also look at revenue per salesperson. If you do two things on a single graph, because if you look at the order per salesperson very low, versus revenue per salesperson is very. So if you look at graph, this always come to the bottom line. So putting both using same scale is not going to work. So you may like to do maybe two different graphs or superimpose or two use different scales. One has to be careful when drawing a plot because if you use the same scale, your whole purpose of meaning would be lost. And basically the salesperson performance would appear something like this. If you look at order per salesperson, maximum order happens to be 9.8, and then they basically go down depending on the order. But revenues per salesperson, you can look at this place. Basically, when my order per is about 4, I get maximum revenue. So maybe just because higher order doesn't really give me higher revenue. So look at the product type, look at how things are, and then make your decisions. So while doing a presentations, the book indicates some tips. You want to look at what you keep in mind before you're doing your presentation and using graphical visualizations. And again, you can do, once your data is available, you can do more drill down, go deeper. And once you know the curiosity, what is it you can do? You can maybe do a graph, like which subject gives me maximum marks per hour of effort, or how many hours I need per mark for a given subject. And then you focus on where do you want to spend your time securing more marks. So primarily, when you look at want to present data visualizations, following would be helpful to you when presenting it. First, you need to make sure you understand the client's domain, the business area the client is working on. Just said I was talking to somebody from a consulting company. The fellow was trying to present data with respect to latitude and longitude of a city and other places, and has no clue what latitude longitude means. Ask something, it became blank, so it doesn't know. So just not knowing the domain and presenting data has basically no meaning. So make sure you understand the basics so that you can correlate. Because they're only going to understand what the requirement is. Like in latitude longitude case, tell me I want to look at Bangalore. He has no clue what Bangalore latitude longitude is, how to find it out. These are the raw data I'm presenting, but has no meaning. So make sure when you're presenting, you know the domain of the clients and which works on and make use of it. As I said, for startup mode, if profit is not important initially, productivity is, and you look at the perspective what client is looking at. So do not give a data for a startup and profit. When you're presenting things to VCs for a startup, they would not show the profit initially. They're more focused on productivity, expansion, market capture, and that's the profit anyway would come in. Do you need to sort that in ascending order, descending order? Should be based on numerics, should be alphabetic, or what measures or metrics should be by the order or product category or by the salesperson? One, you have to decide what you're trying to look at and then put the data accordingly. Further, should we use a basic table? As you said, if data is very small, table would be good enough. But if data is large, you need to probably use graph. And if you're using a graph, what kind of graph? Should we use pie chart, bar chart, bubble chart? You have to make those decisions and then present the data so that end user is certainly get interested. Sometimes with too much data, you probably like to prune. If you're looking at there are too many small orders, like you look in the pie chart. So if we look at the pie chart here, there are too many small number of orders, they probably don't constitute much. Maybe you can group them together and say, this is all what doesn't really matter. Rest, so 3 products and rest all products together. Sometimes otherwise more number of, if I have 100 such products, I'm simply increasing my complexity computation, so that may not be needed. So look from those perspective. If you need to prune or need to add more dimensions, like we did, sales per order, revenue per salesperson. So depending on the need, either you prune or probably increase more dimensions added and do that part. As we talk about it, the revenue per salesperson or order per salesperson is the extra dimension we're trying to add, but simply creating, doing things up. If it's a continuous range data, you may want to put into different category. Like when we get a COVID infection, you never get every minute. You probably get daily details. So a billing number of vaccination done or infections on daily basis. But billing, the infection happening continuously, they're getting reported, but you don't get report as and when they come in. And you too big a number, you categorize per day basis or per month basis and work with those. Like in our case, we look at the order size, the 4 categories, small, teeny, small, medium, and large, and that kind of things. When presenting data, make sure at the high level, if somebody want to do drill down, like we did a drill down for the order data. Each product is the order, but I want to drill down the order into teeny small something, that should be breakup. Or when I give you a number, the numbers are so and so, you get let's say 18 marks overall, but then can I drill down, which is the question that most people attempted, which is the question that most people fail. That will become a drill down kind of answers. And as you saw in the pictograph, we present more information to tell the whole story. Like Balde, we presented the extra tick marks indicating 50 per liter of water, and those. So we indicated not only the numbers, the graph, but we also indicated the values. So goes together in pictograph, text and the data presentations. Sometimes they need to be together, and that will give you basically more meaning. So just to summarize on data visualization, as we said, it is the last part of BIDM cycle. It's basically presenting the intelligence we gathered from the data. It is the phase where ultimately the end user is required because he is the consumer. You need to present your data in the right way so that consumer can understand it. Do not tell untruth. Do not hide the truth. Tell the real data so that one know what could be happening. But quite often people do that to get their biases, or because of predisposed biases, people follow different things. Data visualization, I'm putting a DV, with the many graphing techniques, as you said, bar chart, pie chart, box chart, bubble chart, scatter plots, stack bar, dial chart. You make a decision which one is more appropriate, important, and do that. There are few other videos I would like you to again recommend to see that. It's again 5 minutes indicating how putting a right visualization communicates the meaning. This is about a few years old, so look at that part. And if you want to see bubble chart, I've given a URL. So I'll upload the data file, use it and see can you play some, create some charts and be comfortable with it. That's all for today. So again, do watch Edward Tufte's video, Power Data Visualization, and give me your summary what you find. And this brings to the end of module 3. And tomorrow we start with module 4, which is start with decision tree. I recommend you to review decision tree, which you studied last semester in machine learning algorithm, and we look at the simplistic way how that can be used to communicate information. If any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks.